Hey everybody, how you doing? You got Mike here, and today I'm taking a look at a game called Keystone Kapers by Gary Kitchen for the Atari 2600. And I'm looking at it because this is a game that I played a whole lot, more than I should have, in the early 80s on my Atari 2600. It's one of the few games my mom actually played with me too, and I think it might have been because the setting of a mall and a British cop kind of appealed to her because she was big into those British sitcoms on PBS back then.
I wish to tick to you.
Tick? But Keystone Kapers is basically a one-on-one cops and robbers chase game where you're taking on the role of the 8-bit British cop Keystone Kelly chasing down Hooligan Harry, which, if you can't tell he's an escaped convict and criminal, then clearly his Looney Tune-esque black and white striped outfit gives him away. You have to chase him across the 3 floors of the Southwick Emporium, and sometimes even across the beautiful Atari 2600-backed sunset of the city rooftop. Can we just look at that backdrop for a moment? Because, I mean, it's simple by today's standards, but that's what gave games charm back then, when a few blocks could actually represent something and your mind knew instantly what it was. But as far as the gameplay itself goes, this is a loop where you have 50 seconds to chase down Harry, and he's going to be throwing everything in the books that a professional thief would, like beach balls, shopping carts, and yellow biplanes. Hitting any of these objects along the way to catching up to Harry costs you precious seconds, and if you should make contact with the yellow biplane, that's an instant death and you're sent back to the beginning of the level. You make your way to catch up to Harry by either running to the end of each level and taking a ride up on the escalator, or if you have the patience, and that's something I know a lot of people don't.
No! God, please, no! No!
You can wait for the elevator in the center of the screen, which will give you a direct lift to the floors above you, except for the rooftop. The catch is, just like in real life, these elevators are never going to be on the floor that you need them to be.
Missed it by that much.
When you're on the first floor waiting for the elevator, I can almost guarantee you that one's going to be on the second floor, slowly making its way to the third floor and then back down. So you have to judge Harry's location along with how much time you have left to know if riding the elevator is worth the time sink. And as a caveat, if you do manage to get ahead of Harry, he's going to retreat back into the mall, at which point you have no choice but to ride the elevator back down since the escalators are one way only and that way is up. Now, I mentioned the Keystone Kapers multiverse, and I never knew up until the last 24 hours that there were ColecoVision and Atari 5200 ports of this game by Gary Kitchen himself. The ColecoVision took on a much improved graphical look, and I say that because I think it's a matter of aesthetics. The Atari 2600 always had its style of using blocks and colors to represent shapes and depths. Here you have the ColecoVision version, that's kind of hard to say, which places entire storefronts and restaurant seating areas in the backdrop of the game. However, it kind of loses the depth of the original Atari 2600, and honestly quite a bit of the charm. The Atari 5200 version comes in somewhere in the middle, with the original countertops you run in front of now sporting items that are actually ones being thrown at you, and the occasional patio seating area complete with umbrella. The 5200 version even inherits its own soundtrack, so that's a nice little upgrade as well. Because of budget constraints at Activision, Gary Kitchen was only given 4 kilobytes of memory to work with to create Keystone Kapers, leading him to cut out some additions and niceties that he wanted to put in that eventually made it to later versions, such as having a soundtrack and more audible clues about the elevator's arrival time. And with that 4K, he was able to create a game and a gameplay loop that is definitely somewhat addicting. And when a game is completely over, you kind of want to start over and see if you can get just one level further into it. After playing through the original version again, as well as the ColecoVision and 5200 ports of the game, I gotta be honest, the 2600 is still where it's at. It's got that notoriously crunchy 8-bit Atari audio and a jump sound effect that I think rivals Pitfall Harry's. The graphics, as simple as they are part of the charm. And even though a lot of Atari games relied on you using your imagination to tell what 1 dot represented or 5 dots represented, everything in Keystone Kapers at a glance is clearly recognizable for what it should be. Except maybe not these little black objects here, which I always thought were radiators with heat waves coming off that I had to jump over. Well, it turns out those are actually old-timey radios, and those are sound waves. Which, I guess, for a cop that can jump higher than Michael Jordan and has the patience of a saint for elevators, clearly stationary radios were just too much for him. I know this game has made its way onto some Activision collections, and there have been homebrew ports for other systems like the Intellivision and 7800. But I think if you're going to give Keystone Kapers a chance at all, start with the original and then compare it to the newer ones and see what your thoughts are. And if you do that, come on back here and I'd love to hear your opinions about a game that after decades and decades is somewhat more memorable than games I played just a few months ago. That was a little detour on the road that is gaming my way to 50. Thank you guys again for watching. Always remember, we don't stop playing because we get old because we stop playing. We hope you'll keep watching and definitely keep playing, and we'll see you soon.